Have you ever felt truly unsafe in your own home? Not because of a break-in, but because of something else? Something unseen, unheard by the outside world, yet chillingly present within the very walls that are supposed to protect you? Tonight, we delve into a Reddit story so unsettling, so deeply strange, it will make you question the silence of your own house. Imagine the quiet hum of an old house settling, the gentle creaks in the floorboards, the soft sigh of the wind against the window panes. These are the usual sounds, the comforting noises of your sanctuary. But what if those sounds changed? What if they started to feel less like the house breathing and more like it was listening? This is what happened to a user named Silent Echoes on Reddit. They shared a tale spanning 5 long years, a period where their house transformed from a haven into a source of constant, low-grade dread. It started subtly, a whisper in an empty room, a fleeting shadow in the periphery, things you could easily dismiss as tricks of the light or your overactive imagination. But for Silent Echoes, these incidents grew more frequent, more deliberate. They described waking up in the dead of night to the distinct feeling of being watched, a heavy, unseen presence lingering just beyond the edge of the bed. The air would grow cold, a localized chill that had no rational explanation. One of the first truly disturbing events involved their bedroom wall. It was painted a stark black by the previous tenant, and scrawled across it, in multicolored crayon, were poems. Not cheerful rhymes, but dark, unsettling verses about loneliness, despair, and even suicide. Silent Echoes initially found it creepy, a remnant of a troubled past. But as time went on, the feeling intensified. It was as if the walls themselves were imbued with a lingering sadness, a silent testament to some unknown tragedy. Then came the noises, not the usual house settling sounds, but distinct, almost intentional noises. A soft scratching from inside the walls, like tiny claws dragging across the plaster. Footsteps in the attic when no one was up there. And the whispers. Oh, the whispers. Faint, indecipherable murmurs that seemed to emanate from the very fabric of the house. Sometimes, they would be just at the edge of hearing, a sibilant susurrus that made the hairs on their arms stand on end. Other times, they sounded almost like a name being called, a hushed voice trying to get their attention. One night, Silent Echoes was downstairs in the living room, the only light coming from the flickering screen of their laptop. The house was unusually quiet, even for that late hour. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from upstairs, as if something heavy had been dropped on the floor. Heart pounding, they slowly made their way up the creaking stairs, every shadow seeming to writhe and twist in the dim light. They reached the landing, the silence now thick and suffocating. The sound had come from their bedroom. They pushed the door open and found nothing. Everything was exactly as they had left it. But as they turned to leave, they noticed something new on the black wall, something that hadn't been there before. Scrawled in fresh, white chalk, beneath one of the crayon poems, was a single word: hello. The feeling of being watched intensified. Silent Echoes started noticing small things out of place. A book moved slightly on a shelf. A door that was definitely closed now ajar. It was like living with an invisible roommate, one who enjoyed playing subtle, unnerving games. They tried to rationalize it. Maybe the house had structural issues, causing the strange noises. Maybe the wind was playing tricks. But the feeling of a conscious presence was too strong to ignore. One particularly unsettling incident occurred in the laundry room in the basement. It was a small, cramped space, always a little damp and smelling faintly of mildew. One afternoon, while doing laundry, Silent Echoes heard a distinct sigh coming from the corner of the room. They spun around, but there was no one there. The sigh had sounded so close, so human, it sent a shiver down their spine. From that day on, they avoided the basement whenever possible, the thought of that disembodied sigh forever echoing in their mind. The encounters escalated. One night, while lying in bed, Silent Echoes felt a pressure on the mattress next to them, as if someone had sat down. Their eyes snapped open, but the space beside them was empty. The indentation on the comforter, however, was undeniably there. Another time, they heard clear footsteps walking towards their bedroom door in the middle of the night. They held their breath, every muscle tense, waiting for the door to open. The footsteps stopped right outside, and then nothing. Just an unnerving silence that stretched on for what felt like an eternity. The most chilling encounter, however, happened one evening as Silent Echoes was looking in the bathroom mirror. They caught a glimpse of movement in the reflection behind them. They quickly turned around, but the hallway was empty. They looked back at the mirror and saw a shadowy figure standing just behind their reflection, a dark, indistinct shape that seemed to be staring directly at them. They whirled around again, heart pounding in their chest, but there was still nothing there. The figure in the mirror had vanished. One night, the strange occurrences reached a terrifying peak. Silent Echoes was asleep when they were suddenly jolted awake by a blood-curdling scream. It sounded like it came from right outside their bedroom door. They leaped out of bed, adrenaline coursing through their veins, and flung the door open. The hallway was dark and silent. They checked every room in the house, but found nothing. No sign of forced entry, no one out of place. The scream had seemingly vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread and the chilling realization that whatever was happening in their house was becoming increasingly malevolent. Silent Echoes lived in constant fear, the line between reality and paranoia blurring with each passing day. They tried to find logical explanations for the events, but nothing seemed to fit. Was the house haunted? Was it all in their head? The uncertainty was almost as terrifying as the events themselves. They started documenting everything, hoping to find a pattern, a reason for the strange occurrences. But the more they documented, the more inexplicable it all seemed. One day, while looking through old photographs of the house taken before they moved in, Silent Echoes noticed something peculiar. In several of the photos, in the background, partially obscured by furniture or shadows, was a figure, a dark, indistinct shape that looked eerily similar to the one they had seen in the bathroom mirror. The figure was always in a different location, in different rooms, but it was undeniably there. It was as if this entity had been a part of the house long before they arrived. The final straw came one cold winter night. Silent Echoes was alone in the house, a storm raging outside. The power flickered and died, plunging the house into darkness. Suddenly, they heard a clear, distinct voice whisper their name, right next to their ear. It was a cold, breathy whisper, and it sent a wave of pure terror through them. They grabbed their coat and keys and fled the house, not stopping until they reached the safety of a 24-hour diner miles away. They never spent another night in that house. Silent Echoes eventually moved out, leaving behind the house that had become a source of so much fear and unease. They never found a definitive explanation for what happened during those 5 years. Some believe it was a haunting, a residual energy left behind by a tragic event. Others suggest it could have been something psychological, a manifestation of stress and isolation. And then there are those who believe that some houses are simply born wrong, that they can become vessels for something truly inexplicable and terrifying. So, what do you think was happening in Silent Echoes' house? Was it a ghost, a psychological phenomenon, or something else entirely, something far more ancient and unsettling, lurking just beyond our understanding? And more importantly, what secrets might the walls of your house be silently keeping?